today I got a Graydle deck for you. I'm kind of interested on how this deck works. It kind of works a lot like Monarchs, where it kind of requires your opponent to have the cards on the field, except for this time they require them to be monsters instead of spell and trap cards. So it kind of makes the deck a little bit slower, but it does make the deck more effective at dealing with your opponent cards, since obviously it just takes them and then your opponent gets beat down by their own monsters. So it makes the deck pretty fun, but because they work like Monarchs, they're a little inconsistent. So we got the 1 Debris Dragon, really good for a lot of level 7 synchron plays, really like it. 2 Effect Veilers, I thought the level 1 tuner would be a really nice touch, since you're going to be stealing your opponent monster, try synchron summoning with it. Also stop some huge monster effects and make your opponent have a monster on board. 3 Graydle Alligators. This is probably the more important card because you have like 5 cards in here that can trigger Alligator, plus this is one of the monsters that gets special summoned by Debris Dragon. 2 Cobra. The reason why 2 is Graydle Split isn't as consistent as I would hope, so it's more of use Cobra like you would Stellar Knight Deneb, where you try getting this one in the graveyard, then you start call to haunting it away to the dragon, so when your opponent tried to blow those up, and then basically becomes a +1 with Cobra by taking their monster and taking advantage of that effect. So that's basically how you want to use Cobra, and sometimes you get the Venom, Graydle Split. 3 Eagles. The Eagle is, I really like this because it has one of the better stat line out of them, and it does work with monsters better, so it is a pretty nice monster. I really like it. It's pretty good just for that concept. Definitely one of my favorite monsters to summon. Graydles are definitely interesting. Graydle Slime, I'm running 2 of these. You basically want 2 of them for just that consistency level, even though you're only trying to play around with 1 of them, but you want the 2 for the consistency. That's basically why we're running 2 slimes. Just that moment you search the 1 out, you're trying to get your plays off. 2 Mathematicians, not 3, sorry. The Mathematicians are pretty important because they speed up the deck with getting the Graydle you need in the graveyard and just letting you draw a card when they die. 3 Muttered Grizzlies, obviously it searches out slime, it summons any of the Graydles, so it's just a card to speed up the deck and get your Graydles there. 2 White Knight Dragons, really nice. This is one of those cards I put in here because this deck needs an attack play that doesn't rely on your opponent making a play when they're not going to make a play. So that's why White Knight Dragon in here, to force your opponent to make a play. Now 2 Necross Bryonic. I actually tried a new engine that was actually very interesting and works really well. The moment you draw one of these Bryonics, all your Valkyries become live, and basically you can negate your opponent battle phase with those 3 Valkyries, and it also makes the deck a 38 card deck, so it actually becomes even more consistent and works a little bit better than the Supply Squads. 3 Valkyries, obvious. The reason why Supply Squad doesn't really work is because you basically are in that stalling game state, and they don't really do too well with the stalling because you then need Swift Scarecrow and those, and then you cannot run White Knight Dragon, so then you can't even make your opponent make a play, so it just starts to get bad. 2 Big Waves, Small Waves, basically to summon your White Knight Dragon. That's really all it is, and get Alligator's effect off, so really nice card. I personally like it. It's pretty fun to use in the deck. Graydles, the place you normally want your opponent to have 3 monsters. That's normally what you want. 3 Graydle Impacts. It basically can search any Graydle during your end phase, and then you get to pop your opponent cards. So it works best with Alligator, who gets to steal one of your opponent monsters when he's destroyed by a spell card. So obviously that's the ideal situation. Are you going to be able to get that every time? Probably not, but that is what you're able to, what you really want. 2 Mystic Space Typhoons. Get rid of just problematic cards your opponent play, because this deck does lose to not having access to its graveyard. This deck needs to have a graveyard and not allow cards to get banned. That's actually the ideal. Now 2 Surfaces. The reason why I really like Surfaces, all the Graydles that steal your opponent monsters are level 3s. So Surface is like a Monster Reborn for this deck, even though it comes back in defense. 2 Call to Haunteds. Basically, like I said, Cobra, it works really well. And then it just works well with you want that instant monster on the field and kind of that gratification. 2 Graydle splits. It really works well with 2. You don't really rely on the card, but it's there to make a power play when you need it. So that's really what Graydle split does, and I kind of like it for that purpose because it really works at that way. Otherwise, it doesn't work that well. So yeah, 2 splits is probably the most consistent number you're going to be able to get with your splits. Now, 2 Oasis of the Dragon Soul. I always like this 2-2 with Oasis and Call because then it's kind of pretty consistent and it doesn't feel like I'm overly relying on one card, even though they essentially do the same thing. So also none of the XYZs get affected by a worm type monster and more when they're not in it has to be an Aqua Tuner and water, so it doesn't even matter for Graydle Dragon. 1 Armatis is basically for when you steal your opponent's level 4 monsters and you want to get rid of it and summon your Effect Veil and summon a monster who stops them from activating cards in their hand like Battle Fader, Valkyris, Honest, and other stuff. 1 Black Rose Dragon. A 1 card nuke the field is always going to be good. 1 Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. This card kills the Colossus, so why else would you not play him? 1 Colossal Fighter, just a card that forces your opponent to burn a Dark Hole to get rid of it. 3 Graydle Dragons. I tried that too. I actually just love this card at free because you can summon this card so many times, and then they just start looping, and you really can do some explosive play with 3 Graydle Dragons. 1 Gundyr, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. One of my personal favorite because that's pop 2. Then when you get to start doing your dragon, your plays get aggressive and crazy. 1 Herald of the Arc-Light because all the Graydles are level 3. You have the Effect Veiler. You get this card out with a Graydle Dragon, you're pretty much set. I'm going to be honest. You're pretty much set when you get this card out with Armatis. 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. Just really love this card. Destroy your opponent attack mode monster, so really always going to be great. Scar Right Red Dragon Archfiend, so another really popular card, really good for OTKs. So like Scrap Dragon is really good for this deck because the Greydos become equipped spells, so you can really just take advantage of Scrap Dragon, and then if you can like get Eagle and Scrap Dragon, you can do some pretty crazy plays with stealing your opponent monster, even like Call to Haunted, revive Cobra, destroy Call to Haunted, Cobra get its effect, and then you also got the pop card, so really good in the deck. 1 Gold Trick Audi card since level 3s, and sometimes you realize you need to get rid of the back row. I mean, it sometimes happens. 1 Lavier because sometimes your opponent wants to just banish your cards and you need them. 17, I'm thinking about it, really I like number 30 as well in this deck. I'll be honest, both cards work. It's just really you need a monster with 3,000 attack points that you can get out easy because they are weak in attack and sometimes your opponent won't want to play. So you do kind of have to deal with that. So that's the Graydle deck, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a great day. See you guys again. Bye.